Welcome back, everybody. Got game number 2 for you today from the round of 16 best of 3 match series between Spanishiwa, spawning up here in the top right position on Xel'Naga Caverns, as the yellow Zerg against his teal opponent FXOptikzero. Protoss down in the bottom left. Game number 1, pretty intense matchup. I do like how Spanishiwa kind of changed it up once his Overlord spotted that probe floating over the close positions like that. You know, he switched from his what could have been a potential Ice Fisher play and went with a very early aggressive build. Zerglings had a couple roaches to start, just enough to bust through and deal with dwindling down some of the forces that Optikzero had, and then once Optikzero had to fall back to that ramp, he just didn't quite have the income to deal the income slash production capabilities, I think, to really deal with the forces that Spanishiwa was sending at him. You know, he did have those 2 gateways that he lost down at the natural expansion. That definitely hurt him. And look right here, Spanishiwa doing another very nice play. He saw that probe coming up, he sent the drone the long way around, and now he's got it leaving the base. Optikzero just looking around up here, he doesn't see a darn thing. Currently sitting at 13 supplies, so he's kind of wondering what's going on here. See, he's actually going to pop down now, spot this expansion. Sure enough, there we go. Too late, cannot stop it at all, so we're going to expect to see him maybe change up his build a little bit. Xel'Naga Caverns is going to have a much wider distance between the 2 players than on the first map, the Shatter Temple. Now, speaking of Zerg plays, I'm very happy that we actually completed both the European and the North American tournament series this past Saturday and Sunday. On the European side of things, we had some fantastic games, very intense, and among other things, I think we had not 1, but 2 games where a Zerg player managed to turn the tide of a game with burrowed banelings taking out a whole bunch of light units as they passed over them. It was just a sight to see, and it was really funny because not more than like 5 or 10 minutes prior to, I had mentioned, wanting to see that in one of these tournaments, and then BAM! Saw it right there. Just so epic. So epic. I've got plenty of games for you guys to watch, so it's not like I'm really spoiling it for you, but just trust me, the games are awesome. We can look forward to that here in the coming days, but in the meantime now, let's continue to focus on this game. We do have Optikzero already getting out his first Zealot, and look like he's going to be going for a Stalker next. Maybe looking to put a little bit of pressure on Spanishiwa with his expansion. I don't know. He still has the probe right here, so if he wanted to, he could chrono boost up Warp Gate technology, but you see he's instead focusing on getting out these Stalkers. He doesn't have any sentries yet. That's a lot of times what you'll see Protoss players do, especially if they're going to be going for like a 1-gate expand. They'll get a chrono boost out, get some sentries as soon as possible, and be a Zealot or 2, and move out and defend that way. Force field's obviously pretty good in certain spots on this map, and it looks like the Zergling very close. Stalker should finish it off there. Will the probe make it? Oh, he does! Hero probe makes it indeed. Alright, over here we have Spanishiwa going ahead with, looks like he's got that queen coming out at the natural. Already one here. Optikzero, indeed, looking to put some pressure here. There are a number of drones that can come off the line and help tank some of the damage from the Zealot, but you're seeing a little bit of attempted micro by Spanishiwa. Nice save of the drone right there, taking that extractor like he did. Very well played, as we are indeed going to be seeing the Ice Fisher build that does put an emphasis on the static defense, unupgraded Zerglings, and a whole bunch of Queens. If you guys want to see an interesting example of it, make sure you can actually go to Husky's channel, watch that guest commentary video that I did, and watch as, well, I don't want to give any spoilers for you, but let's just say Nidus Worm, Queen. We'll leave it at that. Optikzero doing some nice micromanagement there, managed to hold on to both of his Stalkers despite the Zergling's attempt at a surround. Again though, no speed upgrade, kind of hard to pull that off when you're running around midfield without any creep. Speaking of creep, we're seeing he's starting to spread it here. Nice little spread on that. And now we've transitioned into the gas phase of this build. All 4 geysers are being built simultaneously. You can expect to see that gas income really kick up for him here in just a short while. Probably get that Zergling speed upgrade as well. we'll see exactly what it transitions into. The nice thing about this build is really, once you get past the early part of the game where you got to worry about that super early aggression, then you can transition into any number of builds. You can go with meter harassment, you can go with something like Ling Infestor, you can tech all the way up and go you know, Infestor Ultra. Any combination works very well because you're at such a good spot with your economy, and a lot of times your opponent isn't going to be quite up to where you are. But let's see here. It looks like you might actually move out again, FXOptikzero, this time bring in a few sentries. I think that's a very good call. But, oh, looks like we have a bunch of Zerglings coming over here. Not going to do a lot of damage. FXOptikzero bringing all of his probes down to the assimilator, hoping to kind of hide him over here, duck and cover style. That'll make sense if you've ever actually watched that civil defense video. We'll see how effective this is actually going to be. Zealots obviously are the preferred against massive amounts of Zerglings, but when you got all the force fields going down, you know, it kind of makes it a little murky. You know, force field away your Zealots, and just think the Stalkers would be a pretty good choice. Also, it helps out maybe popping over a stray Overlord or two, which we see we don't actually have a lot of them hanging out in vulnerable positions right now. There's one here, and a couple in the base. That's about it. We'll see actually here. Yep, Spanishiwa continuing on with this build. He does have the Infestation Pit that was just dropped a moment or two ago. Now notice he's got double upgrades going right now. Again, this is the power of that build. When you've got all 4 geysers at once, you really have a strong gas income, and you can just smash through the upgrades that maybe your opponent started on a little bit earlier than you did. But you'll be in a good position to finish that up. And I like how Spanishiwa just kind of dropped the Changeling in the field of vision for FXOptikzero. That's actually pretty lolsy. I think you might lose that. Yeah, that's not surprising right there. Plenty of sentries in position to finish that off. A couple additional gateways, and Blink. Blink is actually a really smart move if he's going to be continuing on with this Sentry Stalker play. Be able to get out of that Zergling surround. Blink maybe, for example, if you're gauging down here, a bunch of Zerglings run over, blink down here, leave a couple units up here, you'll be golden. Spanishiwa might actually be looking to take the high yield expansion. I don't know. He is working on the set of destructible rocks, and the drone here you can see doing his thing, being the champ that he is. Yes, indeed, we are going to see him take that high yield expansion while he continues to further his creep right up to the watchtower, which you see he controls both of right now. Well, okay, he technically controls this one, but not really utilizing it. FXOptikzero maybe looking to make a move. You see he did just drop a pylon a little bit outside of his base, give him a nice forward warp-in position. He's probably not sure where exactly would be a better place to put it up ahead here, considering there's all this creep everywhere. Not really kind of sure where a good safe spot would be. Canceled the expansion. That's a really good move. I don't think he'd have a way to defend that at this point. You see he is working on a number of Zerglings and an Infestor right now. Couple force fields being blown as FXOptikzero hoping to contain those Zerglings, but I like Spanishiwa's choice here a lot, actually, sending them down to the natural expansion to possibly counterattack. We're seeing actually looks like a little bit of a possible misclick, as this time looks like he's going to be engaging with a few Infestors. Blink right there, might lose an Infestor. One does indeed go down. Zerglings running into the mineral line, the natural expansion for the Protoss player. FXOptikzero warping in a lot of Zealots. Look at that. That's a very smart way to handle that there. You see, he's really not doing anything with those units on the minimap, but for now, Spanishiwa realized those Zealots were forming a wall, and there really wasn't a lot that he could do about it. The Zerglings were running around trying to get to the Zealots, ignoring their probes, so he put the Zerglings on the hold position, actually killed a lot of probes that way, and now chasing even more of them there. Oh, sneaky, burrowing a couple there at the ramp. Working on a couple probes in the gas. That's going to hurt him a little bit there. We can actually see that kind of trickle down as the expansion now only has 2 probes working at it, 32 to 45 as a result of that attack. And we're seeing here another engagement, starting to have some fungal growth. Of course, fungal does extra damage against armored. Plenty of bunched up units right here. Watch the shields go down first. Almost dead. Yes, indeed, all that energy being forced to use right there by the Protoss player. I'm sure that he would have liked to save that energy, but with all those Zerglings running around, and the fact that the Infestors have the high ground, really just not a good spot to try to engage the Zerg player there. He did lose that Observer in the previous fight, so he's no longer able to deal with that creep. He is also still continuing to have these Zerglings from Spanishiwa just harass him ever so slowly. There's that Observer right there, actually heading away from the Zerglings. As Spanishiwa, looking like he's going to move out. He's got a bunch of Infestors now. This should actually be enough to handle what OptikZero has. But Optic does have, I mean, like I said, he does have the blink ability, so he can space these things out very quickly, a little bit of micromanagement, and really, really cut back on Spanishiwa's unit composition usefulness here. Yeah, right now he's just worried about cleaning house, taking out the rest of those little pesky Zerglings that Spanishiwa has employed to keep OptikZero on his toes. Speaking of on his toes, we'll see more Zerglings coming down here, taking out that forward pylon that we saw placed just a few minutes ago. Also, Spanishiwa does have control of all the expansions on the map. You see he's got Zerglings at each of the key spots and has expanded to the rest of them that he does not control. Had to stop and think for a second there. I lost my train of thought, but we have 2 robotics facilities. I think this is a really smart move, actually. He's got to play catch-up and get a bunch of Colossi out of the field very quickly. He does have a few Zealots this time. That'll help him a good bit. As we're seeing, we've got the army split into 2 groups. We've got the Infestors running around to the right, Zerglings over to the left. We'll see what he's actually able to do with that. All right, they see each other now. Oh, beautiful! Beautiful surround. Look at that OptikZero getting surrounded on both sides. Oh man, that was perfect. Zerglings coming in. Stalkers had nowhere to blink to. Zealots had the fungal growth on them. So did the Stalkers. Perfect. Absolutely perfect execution right there by Spanishiwa. So he will move on to the next round here in SK Gaming's North American Champion Trophy Tournament. Thank you guys for watching. Definitely have more games, obviously, from Spanishiwa in this tournament. Stay tuned for those, and also the European games. Like I said, you don't want to miss them.